Hey guys, Ken here from the Retro Toys Capace channel in Malaysia. On the channel today, we're checking out the finalized product images and pre-order details for the MOTU Origins Fright Zone playset. That's right, after months of early teasers and delayed release dates, this thing is now confirmed to finally go up for official pre-order on the Mattel Creations website on the 1st of July 2025 at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Yes, the Fright Zone, home to Hordek's terrifying throne, will be a website only exclusive. And you know what? That's probably the best decision, judging from all of the unsold Castle Grayskull units that we've seen on clearance over the last 4 years, even right here in Malaysia. Now, retail can obviously no longer handle MOTU in a lot of countries out there because people just aren't buying, and they definitely cannot handle giant MOTU fantasy playsets. The site says the Mattel Creations will only sell this to Club Grayskull members for the first 2 weeks. However, mysteriously, it also hints that other retailers may be carrying it at the same time. So, is it really an exclusive, or is Mattel Creations just the easiest place to find it? With a membership, of course. Okay, why don't you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section? Now, the packaging art for the Fright Zone features a ferocious battle sequence exploding over all corners of the box. I'm guessing the box size is probably about the same as the Origins Grayskull one. Now, we have Hordek and Skeletor tearing it up at the top of the Fright Zone structure with that creepy ass tree in the background. Then we have the Zone creature trying to swallow He-Man whole with Green Tila trying to help. Then we get this full-on smackdown between two feral and furry beast creatures, Grizzlaw and Beastman, with Beastman looking fully trashed. And you know what, guys? Something just caught my eye. Do you think that these tree branches spell out a name? Is that an A that I see there? Axel? Let me know, right? Then we got Montana blasting away at something or someone off screen. You turn the box to the side and we find out that it's Triclops. We also have Orko trying his best to stop Leech from squashing out Man-at-Arms' brains. Man, look at that. Now, the way this whole scene is set up is a homage to the original 80s box art from 1985. Only that one had far less characters featured and far less violence, right? This year is the 40th anniversary of the release of the original Fright Zone set, and that set was never really a favorite of mine. Okay, I appreciate the fact that it's a vintage retro 80s toy, but measured against Castle Grayskull and Snake Mountain, it was severely underwhelming. It really didn't do much at all. It was mostly just a diorama piece. I mean, you get misshapen rock structures, creepy tree branches, creepy owls. Okay, it's all there. Now, the jail cell on this thing is about as ridiculous as any other Masters of the Universe jail cell. Are you telling me that wooden stick structures are supposed to hold a true Master of the Universe? Then there's an unexciting spring activated rock trap that's supposed to be a monster that clamps onto an unwary trespasser's foot. Although, as I recall it, there was still a lot of room for the person to break free. Okay, but the biggest offender is the snake-like dungeon monster that lurches out to gobble its victims. Now, I swore that this thing was a monster snake, all right, but the official description is that it's a dragon creature of some kind. Instead of making the monster a sculpted piece, they actually give you a latex hand puppet, right, that you operate manually by sticking your hand into it. And last I checked, this thing is not really made to accommodate adult hands. Okay, so if you're a full-grown adult, don't even try it, or you'll rip the whole thing apart. Okay. Now, the MOTU Origins team obviously took all of this stuff into consideration because with this new Fright Zone they've presented here, they've just jacked it up, okay, with all kinds of new features, stuff that honestly you wouldn't expect, okay, such as the fact that the creature is now a separate, sculpted, and fully articulated piece, okay, and they've made it like a massive thing, all right? Look at this thing next to the playset. The playset is supposed to be something like about 20 inches in height and 20 inches long, okay, so it's pretty massive. And you've got the zone's creature now as a separate piece altogether, although I don't really see any comparison shots of this thing with a standard Origins figure. Okay, that would actually help, right? But I can just assume that this thing is pretty big. Maybe it's only as big as Battle Cat. Okay, I don't know. But either way, they've improved it considerably, okay, from whatever it is that we got 40 years ago. Elsewhere on the structure, they've added some new design touches as well. They've included something that looks like a creature's face, sort of embedded into this column of the whole zone. All right, so this is something new, okay, because the original didn't have this particular thing sticking out of it. And where the rock monster trap is concerned, they've now reshaped it entirely, and I'm not really sure if this is still supposed to be a rock monster that's hidden in the ground. But the way it looks like now is just super obvious. Okay, like this whole thing is just sticking out from beneath. The question then would be, why would anybody step on it? All right. I'm not really sure how this thing actually works. I've not seen a demo of it just yet. Okay, but yes, okay, they've reshaped this thing. And also they've added some new elements like a weapons rack. Okay, this thing was not in the original. There's a weapons rack here with placements for you to hold 3 weapons that have been repainted from existing MOTU Origins figures. So that's a nice touch. Okay, we're getting some extra weapons and also a place there for these things to be stored. They've also included something called a tube trap. Right, I'm not seeing a demo of this actually. I believe that this thing is just something that you slot a 5.5-inch scale MOTU Origins figure inside, and these tubes will just hold it in place. Okay, hold it trapped there like a prison. Okay, sort of like a set of shackles or clamp. Okay, and where the jail cell is concerned, it pretty much appears to follow the same design scheme as the original. Okay, it looks like a cell that anybody can just break out of. However, perhaps in the story, they use some kind of force field energy to hold the prisoners in place, okay, so they can't break out. I mean, maybe it's like that, okay? You guys tell me. Okay, where the tree is concerned, this creepy looking tree with the face on it that looks like something from the Inhumanoids. Okay, so this thing still comes with this whole set of birds, okay, black birds that you can have perched on the branches here, or you could remove them and sort of have them just hanging around someplace else or just flying about the playset. Okay, so that's a good option. And this tree now, apparently, on the flip of it, okay, is something interesting, okay, because you have Hordak's throne. Okay, this is something that the original never had. You have a place for Hordak to be seated and just oversee all of the chaos in the Fright Zone. All right, so this is a great option. Previously, you could just have Hordak standing up somewhere, all right, just standing at the top of the Fright Zone, but not exactly sort of like in a position where he was seated down and just ruling all the madness there. Okay, so now you can. Okay, so I think overall they've added some pretty interesting new design touches. Is this enough for you guys to want to go out there and grab it? The whole set is going for 92 US dollars, okay, on Mattel Creations. And that's a pretty interesting price point because I believe that when stuff like, Castle Grayskull came out, it was probably around the same price as well, 80 to about 100 when it first came out. Okay, later on, man, they slashed that thing down, okay? That was at retail. But, something like this is an exclusive. Probably if there's other places that you can get it, besides Mattel Creations, it's still going to be an online thing, so there will be shipping involved. And if you're halfway across the world, that shipping isn't going to be cheap. Okay, so guys, let me know in the comment section how you feel about all this. Are you guys ready to enter the zone, or will you decide to just leave it alone? Okay, let me know in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Take care out there.